Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Growing up, my family wasn't perfect, but we were close. My sister, Lisa, and I were just a few years apart and shared a lot of childhood memories. She always had big dreams. While I focused on the practical path of school, work, and stability, Lisa dreamed of stardom. She'd spend hours rehearsing lines for movies, practicing her autograph, and talking about how she'd leave our small town behind for a glamorous life in Hollywood. It was all harmless at first, a kid dreaming big, but as we got older, she didn't drop her dreams. When Lisa turned 22, she announced that she was moving to Los Angeles to chase her dream of being an actress. By that time, she was already a single mom with 2 kids, Mia and Ryan, aged 4 and 2. My parents, ever the supportive figures, begged her to stay and think about her children. But Lisa was determined. "I'm doing this for them," she claimed, insisting that she'd come back to them once she made it big. My parents finally agreed to take care of the kids temporarily, assuming Lisa would return in a year or 2. She didn't. For years, Lisa's contact with the family was sporadic at best. She'd call once in a blue moon, promising she was one audition away from her big break and would soon come back to give Mia and Ryan the life they deserved. Those calls became fewer and farther between, and eventually, they stopped altogether. My parents, already in their 60s, stepped up to raise Mia and Ryan as their own. They poured their hearts into giving the kids a stable life, but it wasn't easy. Money was tight, and their health began to decline. I helped as much as I could, but I was building my own life and career, and my role was more of a supporting one. Then tragedy struck. Within a year of each other, my parents passed away. My father from a heart attack, and my mother from complications related to her diabetes. It was devastating. Mia and Ryan were just 12 and 10 at the time, and they'd already lost so much. I couldn't bear the thought of them going into the foster system, so I made the decision to take them in. Overnight, I went from being their aunt to their full-time parent. Raising Mia and Ryan was a challenge, but one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. They were grieving, confused, and angry at their mother for abandoning them. I did my best to be there for them, to provide the stability and love they so desperately needed. Over time, we became a tight-knit family. I watched them grow into amazing, resilient young adults. Mia, now 22, is studying to become a teacher, and Ryan, 20, is in trade school training to be an electrician. They've made me incredibly proud, and I've always made it clear that I consider them my kids. Then, out of the blue, Lisa resurfaced. After 10 years of silence, she sent me a long, emotional message. She said she'd been young and stupid, and that she'd made terrible mistakes, and that she wanted to reconcile. She claimed she missed her kids and wanted to make amends. At first, I was furious. How dare she waltz back into our lives after all this time, expecting forgiveness? But after talking it over with Mia and Ryan, I decided to give her a chance. They were hesitant but agreed to meet her, curious to see the woman who had abandoned them. I invited Lisa to spend Christmas with us. I thought it would be a good way for her to reconnect with Mia and Ryan in a controlled environment. I wanted to see if she was serious about making things right, or if this was just another one of her empty gestures. The kids were nervous but open-minded. I warned Lisa to tread carefully, to focus on rebuilding her relationship with them rather than making it about herself. She agreed and promised she'd behave. Christmas Day started off well enough. Lisa arrived with gifts for everyone and seemed genuinely excited to be there. She complimented the decorations, helped set the table, and even shared some old stories about our childhood. Mia and Ryan were polite but distant, clearly unsure how to navigate the situation. I could tell they were holding back years of hurt and anger, but they were trying to give her a chance. Then, over dinner, Lisa dropped a bombshell. With a huge smile, she announced, "I have some exciting news to share. I'm pregnant." She looked around the table, clearly expecting cheers and congratulations. Instead, there was stunned silence. Mia and Ryan stared at her, their expressions a mix of shock and disbelief. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was supposed to be about reconnecting with her abandoned children, not celebrating her new life. I felt my blood boil as I saw the hurt on Mia and Ryan's faces. Lisa, oblivious to the tension, continued talking about her pregnancy plans, the baby's name, and how excited she was to be starting a real family. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "Lisa," I said, my voice shaking with anger, "do you have any idea how inappropriate this is? You abandoned your kids for over a decade, and now you're sitting here talking about starting a new family as if they don't even exist." Lisa's smile faded. "I was young and stupid," she said defensively. "I'm trying to make things right. Can't you just be happy for me?" "Happy for you," I snapped. "Do you have any idea what Mia and Ryan have been through because of you? Do you know how hard it's been for them to grow up without their mother, and now you expect them to celebrate your new baby? This isn't about you, Lisa. This was supposed to be about them." Mia, who had been quiet up until now, finally spoke up. "You don't get it," she said, her voice trembling. "You don't get to just show up and act like everything's fine. We needed you, and you weren't there. You missed everything, and now you're here, talking about starting over, like we're just some mistake you can't forget about." Ryan nodded. "You're not our mom," he said bluntly. "You gave that right up a long time ago." Lisa looked shocked, as if she hadn't expected this reaction. She started to cry, but I wasn't moved. I stood up and said, "Lisa, I think it's time for you to leave. You've hurt these kids enough, and I'm not going to let you do it again. Don't contact us anymore." She tried to argue, but I held firm. Eventually, she left, still crying and accusing me of being cruel and unsupportive. Since then, she's been sending me messages saying she's hurt that I didn't congratulate her on her pregnancy and that she just wanted to make amends. She's blaming me for causing her stress and upsetting her while she is pregnant, and is claiming she's afraid the stress will affect the baby. Oh my God, really? I don't regret my decision. Lisa had years to come back and be a mother to Mia and Ryan, and she chose not to. Her actions hurt them deeply, and her selfish announcement on Christmas only added insult to injury. I've spent a decade picking up the pieces she's left behind, and I'm not going to let her waltz back in and cause more damage. Lisa's reappearance and behavior brought back years of pain and resentment for Mia and Ryan, emotions they'd worked hard to process. Her sudden return and lack of true accountability highlighted her lack of understanding about the impact of her actions. In contrast, I've spent every day of the past 10 years ensuring that Mia and Ryan have a stable, loving home. I was there for every scraped knee, every parent-teacher conference, and every sleepless night during their grief. That's what being a parent means, showing up, even when it's hard. Lisa may have been young and reckless, but she made choices that left lifelong scars on her children. And now, instead of addressing those scars, she expected us to celebrate her new life. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out and cutting her off after her pregnancy announcement? OP's gone above and beyond for Mia and Ryan, stepping up when their own mother abandoned them. Lisa had plenty of time to make amends, and instead of truly acknowledging the pain she caused, she made Christmas all about her. The audacity to expect congratulations on a pregnancy while ignoring the 2 children she left behind is mind-blowing. OP is protecting her family from further hurt, and that's what matters. OP should not let anyone guilt her into feeling otherwise. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Lisa's behavior is selfish and tone-deaf. It sounds like she hasn't even begun to understand the gravity of her actions or the damage she caused Mia and Ryan. Announcing her pregnancy at Christmas wasn't just insensitive. It was a slap in the face to the kids she abandoned. You were right to prioritize their feelings and set boundaries. If she truly wanted to reconcile, she would have approached this situation with humility, not self-centeredness. Not the a-hole. You did everything right by giving Lisa a chance to reconnect. But her actions prove she's still as self-absorbed as ever. Her announcement wasn't about making amends. It was about drawing attention to herself. Mia and Ryan deserved an apology and effort, not to be overshadowed by her fresh start. You've been the rock they needed all these years, and you don't owe Lisa anything. Standing up for them was the right thing to do. Lisa abandoned her kids for over a decade, and then expected a warm welcome without putting in any effort to repair the relationship. Instead of focusing on reconnecting with Mia and Ryan, she chose to make everything about her new baby. That kind of behavior is selfish and damaging. You've been an amazing parent to those kids, and they clearly trust and respect you. You did the right thing by setting boundaries and protecting them from further heartbreak. Lisa needs to take responsibility for her actions, not expect everyone to celebrate her like nothing happened. My mother, 63, divorced my dad when I, 32 female, was 7, and remarried my stepdad, 58, 2 years later. Stepdad came with my 2 step-siblings, now 30 male and 28 female. I have no grandparents on my dad's side, and only a granddad on my mother's. My step-siblings had all 4 grandparents. A few years ago, my step-siblings' paternal gran and granddad passed away within 3 months of each other. They never saw me as real family, so I got nothing. Stepsis and bro received $20K each, plus a house which they sold for $250K, splitting the money. Again, I got nothing. My granddad, due to this, has changed his will, so I am the sole beneficiary. This is not much, around $15K. Since he told my mom and stepdad about this, my mom has constantly been on the phone to me begging me to split the inheritance 3 ways with my step-siblings. We're not close, we live far apart, and rarely see each other. My stepsister in particular doesn't even reach out for birthdays or Christmas, despite me always sending a card and message. I don't feel that I should share my inheritance. Both stepbrother and sister own homes, are married, have good jobs. The inheritance could help me pay off some student debts, go into savings so one day I could potentially own my own home. My argument is simple. They did not share their sizable inheritance with me, so the "but their family" argument shouldn't apply. I wasn't good enough family for them at that point. Why should I give them 2/3 of the money when they wouldn't even lend me $20 for fuel when I was a struggling student, and they had over $100K each? I think I'm in the right to refuse, and my granddad and dad are on my side. My mom and stepdad, however, say I'm being a selfish a-hole and not thinking of my family. Would I be the a-hole if I kept it all? To add, my granddad is 89 and healthy up till now. He's not happy that my mom is causing an argument over him dying when he's not dying. Not the a-hole. The inheritance is yours. Your grandfather is not even your step-sibling's grandfather, so why should you be obligated to share anything? You don't need to make any argument for this at all. It's only $15K. It's not like you're going to be rich off of this. This is really up to your grandfather and nobody else. Why would you feel like you're doing something wrong here? Your mom and stepdad need to stay out of this. Would your mother get any inheritance from her dad? If so, she can share that with your step-siblings if it's going to be a problem. Not the a-hole. Nobody is entitled to be part of someone's will. If I were him, though, I would probably leave them like $10. It closes up any chance of them suing the estate claiming that he forgot to include them due to his advanced age. Not the a-hole. It's your grandfather's will, not your mother's. He can do whatever he wants with his money. So can you with his inheritance one day. So I, 26 male, am getting married this summer to my college sweetheart, Sam. But I'm having issues with my parents. I'm an only child, and my parents were together for over 25 years. But I wouldn't consider it a good relationship. My dad was the provider and a hard worker, great person, and a fantastic role model. He made great money and was able to let my mom stay home. My mom was a great mother, but as a person, she is selfish. I never saw her show any love to my dad. He was very affectionate, and she wasn't at all. She would spend most of her time shopping or at our neighborhood pool. My mom didn't hate my dad, but seemed to like what he provided more than who he was. I could tell as I grew up that my dad was lonely. So, growing up, my dad had a childhood friend that lived a few states away, named Aunt Nicole. She would come around ever so often with her husband. Well, about 5 years ago, she and her husband divorced and she moved back to our hometown. I was in college during this time. I got a call from my dad to come home about 3.5 years ago. My dad sat me down and told me that he had an affair with Aunt Nicole, and that him and Mom were splitting up. I was angry. He let me vent and berate him, always admitting his wrongdoing and not hiding anything. My mom and him went through a nasty divorce, with her constantly crap-talking him and trying to duck him up financially. Well, it's been 3 years since, and things have gotten worse. My mom won't sit in the same room as my dad. My dad is happy and is married to Nicole now. Nicole has been awesome to me, and after letting me call her out for crap behavior, has been treating me as her own for years. We have a tight bond because we've known each other forever. The wedding has turned into a nightmare. My mom has started making all these demands. At first she said she wouldn't come if Nicole was invited. We called her bluff on that. She said that she didn't want to be at a head table with my dad. I said fine, we'll put him at another table with my fiance's side of the family. Now she's saying that she doesn't want Nicole included in the wedding planning, pictures, or rehearsal. only the wedding, and then she has to go, because my mom won't be able to handle it. Then my mom demanded that Nicole leave the wedding for our mother-son dance. I told her that is ridiculous. She asked for a +1 so she could bring some random dude she met a month ago. My mom said she won't pay for the wedding. My mom and dad are helping, if she isn't being taken seriously. I told her last week to get over herself, that the divorce was just as much her fault as it was Dad's, and I can always have Nicole step in for the mother-son dance if she can't get over herself. My mom's side of the family has heard about the drama and thinks I'm being an a-hole. My fiancé understands the dynamic and is sympathetic to my mom, but thinks it's getting ridiculous. Am I the a-hole? I get that you're mad at your mom for being self-centered, and maybe she was at fault in your mind for your dad having an affair or whatever, but what a sad thing to say. No a-hole for not wanting her at your wedding unless she can be civil about you involving Nicole and everything, but I don't see your relationship surviving this. The affair and divorce is so recent, I wouldn't have expected her to pay or even attend under these circumstances. Your glowing relationship with Nicole and her involvement in wedding planning. You're the a-hole. How dare you blame your mother for being cheated on after a 25-year-long marriage? Had your father been a decent man, he would have divorced your mom if he was so lonely and unhappy. Your mother was disrespected and humiliated, and now she has a son who thinks she is deserving of such mistreatment. That she should watch as cheaters and homewreckers snatch her unsympathetic son away. You are really rude. What the duck? Where is your loyalty to your mother? When you say your father let your mom stay home, it sounds like you don't understand being a stay-at-home mom. I don't think you're being fair to your mom. Your mom gave up her career to be a stay-at-home mom, which is a job itself. That's not selfish at all. Her 25-plus-year marriage ended due to an affair, and the other woman is now involved in her only son's wedding. I feel sad for your mom. You're the a-hole. I, 40 female, have 4 siblings. Between the 5 of us, my parents have 9 grandchildren. While we were at my parents' house for dinner, and for the kids to get their presents from them, in the middle of handing out their presents to everyone, they gave my nieces, Monica and Jill, a big box and said that this present was from them and my sister and brother-in-law, and it was something they were going to have to share. They opened it up, and it was a PlayStation 5. Many of my nieces and nephews were upset and jealous over the girls' present, and rightfully so. My parents tried to explain that the girls had already expressed interest in sharing one, and that their parents asked for help. So instead of the girls getting 2 or 3 presents like everyone else, my parents put what they would have spent on the girls towards the console, and their parents paid the rest. I called BS on my parents, and told them they just showed all the kids who their favorite grandchildren were. My parents said that wasn't true. They didn't spend any more on the girls than they did anyone else, and that if there were big purchases we wanted to get the kids, they would have helped, and that would have been their gifts to them. I told them I didn't buy that one bit, or else they would have offered to help instead of waiting to be asked, and more importantly, they wouldn't have gifted it to the girls in front of everyone. Besides, kids don't offer to share things like that. They said that they thought it was best to do it there, so they could put it into context for all the grandchildren, instead of risking the girls saying that they got it from Granny and Pops. We argued about it, and I took my kids and left. My parents have been trying to call me since Sunday to talk, and my husband thinks I should hear them out. One of my siblings is mad at me because now their kids are all upset because they believed me when I called out our parents favoring Monica and Jill. Now their kids and mine don't want to go over to my parents' house, which is ruining New Year's for them, because our parents were going to watch any of the kids that needed babysitting, and our parents are upset the kids don't want to go over anymore. I was just advocating for my children, but am I the a-hole for calling my parents out in front of everyone the way I did? Edit. There are other instances of my parents favoring Jill and Monica. They'll give Jill and Monica money for their extracurricular trips and similar things, while my brother and I have aired struggling to pay for extracurricular for our kids before. My parents say and do nothing except tell our kids that they shouldn't give up their hobbies, sports, when we made the decision to pull them out. My parents have also been made aware in the past when one of us is struggling to get a gift one of our kids really wanted, and not a damn thing was said. So no, I really don't believe their BS story or excuse that they would have given help if asked. They should have brought it up to all of us if they really were asking to help, so we could have had the same opportunity with our kids' gifts. Since they didn't, they should have had the girls open the gift at my sister's house, not made an entire spectacle of it. Regardless of whether you believe them or not, you're the a-hole for doing this in front of other kids. And I find your reaction completely extreme. You said that sis and brother-in-law asked, and your parents said they would have done the same had anyone else asked. So I don't think they're showing any favoritism. Although obviously a feeling of favoritism isn't a one-off thing. So no one could really say without knowing how they treat everyone for all the past Christmases and events. You're the a-hole. You've created a scene in front of the children, like a child. If your parents are right, and they spend as much money on every kid, I have no reason to believe they lied. Your anger is totally misplaced. You threw a fit because your sister and brother-in-law were smarter about their kid's present, and your years of sibling jealousy showed up. And now the cousins are mad at each other. The family won't get together for New Year's. What a mess you've made. You better apologize to everyone and go to therapy to deal with your insecurities. You're the a-hole. Even if you do think your parents lied, there was no need to make a scene and embarrass and upset the kids. If your parents decided to go in with your sibling for one expensive gift instead of 4 cheaper gifts, they did do it right, up front, so the other kids could hear why and not think they were being treated unfairly. Good that you ruined the New Year's Eve plans. Maybe next time you want to throw a tantrum, you'll think twice. A bit of background. My sister has been divorced from her ex-husband for the last 3 years, and they have 2 children. They have joint legal custody and nearly equal parenting time. He has 2 days a month more than she does because of her work schedule. He makes a lot more than she does, and even though he has more parenting time, he pays her child support, covers their children's insurance, and pays for their private school. From what my sister has told me, financially, the divorce was to her. They actually get along very well for exes, and he's been great with our family. We always get invites to things like birthday parties and such. I'm sure someone will ask. The reason they got divorced, according to my sister, is my sister wasn't happy and wanted out. Nobody has accused the other of anything bad, but my sister is a handful. She started dating as soon as they separated, and it took him a lot longer, but I don't think there was any sort of affair or partner in waiting. Back on Father's Day, a mutual friend made a charming post about her late ex-husband, what a great dad he was, and how her kids miss him. I made a nice comment and scrolled on. Later, another friend made a crap post about moms having to do everything due to absent dads. I don't know who the person was in the first comment, but there was several who joined in, including my sister. I normally just scroll on in these sorts of situations, but my sister said something to the effect of her being a single mom and joined in on the crapping on Dad's Fest. It pissed me off, so I replied to her that she was completely tone deaf and she needed to delete her comments. True to her norm, instead of saying whoops and deleting her comment, she fired back. So I told her that she's not a single mom, she's a divorced mom with an ex-husband who's very involved, has the kids more than she does, and pays for everything. Not long after, the OP deleted the whole crap show. I let it go, but come to find out, my sister is mad at me. I get it if her claim was, I don't know the real situation, and her ex is really some sort of monster. But she's just mad I called her out on Facebook and diminished her by saying she wasn't a single mom. Okay, I'm gonna say not the a-hole on this. Personally, I agree with you, and it annoys me as well. Technically, your sister is single, relationship-wise, and a parent, so there is that argument. But when people traditionally think of a single mom or dad, they think of someone parenting on their own with no help. If you have an active ex, you aren't alone. In fact, you get even more breaks than married moms. True, you are on 24/7 when you have the kids, but you get entire weekends off, or even the whole week. Married parents don't get that. Not the a-hole. It might have been better handled in private, but sometimes people need to be questioned and held accountable for what they are saying publicly. From everything you mentioned, it seems like her ex is a caring parent, and she should not be telling others differently if it is not true. Not the a-hole. Parents who fake complain on Facebook deserve to be called out. She is lucky to have a co-parent who is so involved and who provides for her kids when so many out there don't. She should be grateful she has a good situation, not slandering him publicly while she benefits from his responsibility and respect for her and her kids. Growing up, I, 28 male, was really close with my neighbor Diane, 27 female. Diane was the product of an affair, and despite her parents divorcing their spouses and getting together before she was born, her home life was really rocky. Diane pretty much lived with me, my little brother, and my single mom on the weekends, and by 5th grade, she had her own room in our house. We all saw her as family. She was delighted, as her only other siblings were her half-siblings, who all hated her. When Diane started high school, one of her half-sisters, Amy, started forming a bond with her. Amy was only a year older than me, and we hit it off. We started dating in college and things were going well. I've always wanted kids, and Amy always said she felt the same until our last year of college. Amy got a positive pregnancy test and broke down. She told me that she lied about wanting kids, and that she was hoping that she'd either warm up to the idea or I'd change my mind, that she thought she'd be okay with it if it was for me, but now that she's pregnant, she knows for a fact that she never wants to be a mom. We argued. I told her that she'd known I wanted kids before she was even interested in me, and lied. Because of all the fighting and stress for finals, she miscarried. I don't know if it was an A, because she told me she would give birth to our child, but didn't want to raise them. I broke up with her soon after. It was hard because I really loved her, but Diane was there for me. Last year, Diane got pregnant, and the father wanted nothing to do with her or the baby. Having a single mom, I took her in and vowed to support her. She gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Early in the pregnancy, Diane found out she had ovarian cancer. It was a hard hit on all of us, and she started making a will and asked me to be the legal guardian of her child should it come down to it. 7 months ago, Diane passed away, leaving her 3-month-old daughter in my care. She named her Josephine after my mother and didn't choose a middle name. After I officially adopted her, I gave her Diane as a middle name. Amy came to me 2 days ago saying that she waited till after the adoption process to ask me because she didn't want to stress me, but I should let her also adopt Josephine because she's Diane's closest family member and that Josie needs a mother. And since I grew up in a single-parent household, I should know that better than anyone else. I told her that Diane left Josie in my care, and it's disrespectful to try and place herself as her niece's mother, not even a year after Diane's passing. Some of Diane's family are calling and telling me that I'm being thoughtless and that Josie needs a mother, that I'm not family, so I don't know what I'm doing. It's all such a stressful time, and I haven't even had a moment to properly grieve, so I'm probably not in the right state of mind. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If she wanted Amy to be her mother or any of her family to be the parents, she would have made them the guardian. Besides, I thought Amy didn't want kids. You are simply following Diane's wishes. Not the a-hole. Do not let this woman who used you in the beginning and lied to you be a part of the family. Do not let her adopt this child, as that gives her certain legal protections if she tries to take you to court and legally make you pay child support and other things. If you break up, then she can seek sole legal custody. Do not let her adopt with you. Do what your friend wanted. Don't you think there's a reason she didn't ask Amy? Not the a-hole. Diane left Josie in your care because she trusted you to take good care of her. Diane's family all but abandoned her, so if they really knew what a child needs, they sure didn't bother to exercise it while Diane was there. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself and your baby, as that's exactly how Diane wanted it based on her will.